so today we just gonna have a discussion. Okay. I don't really have a paper or anything, but I wanted to talk about the power of choice. Let me hit live and we can get into it. All right. Oh, that's bright. All right, so today I wanted to talk about the power of choice. Okay. We live in a world where choice is stripped from so many of us from a young age, okay? And we come into this space where reality creation, and we are trying to choose a different version of something, whether it's a person, whether it's a financial situation, whatever the case may be. We're just trying to choose a different life, okay? And the question that I always run into with people that I work with individually, or even when we have these discussions, is when are you going to stop trying to manifest things and simply be the person that you want to be? When are you going to stop looking for more techniques? When are you going to stop looking for some next secret that's going to unlock something within you? When are you going to stop struggling against what you want? When are you going to stop telling yourself the story that you're not good enough yet? And when are you going to make the decision to simply have what you want? Because it's all a choice. You get to choose whether it's not working out and you need to learn more and things just never change. And I've been doing this for X amount of time and nothing's changed. You can choose that story if you want, or you can decide to live the life of your dreams right now. And what's stopping you? What is truly stopping you from right now living the life of your dreams? Why do you continue to look for more and more things, new techniques, more manifesting knowledge or information? What do you believe is out there? Well, typically the answer is you believe that some secret is out there. The key to it all is out there, but it's never been out there. The kingdom is within you. And it's waiting for you to remember and assume that you are everything that you desire to be. Okay? So when we have these talks, right, and sometimes they can be more pointed, sometimes they can be more poetic, right? It just kind of evolves based on what we're going through. But one thing that I'll constantly remind you to do, right, is pay attention to the story that you're telling. What is the story that you're telling? Whether you come up on here on the live and you're telling me about your life, or you're sending me a DM telling me about your life, or we're in these sessions, right? Even on the one-on-one sessions, I always record them and I send them back to you and I say, listen to it. Actually go and watch it back, because you'll see all kinds of things within you. You'll see the answer to all of the problems within the questions that you're asking. Right. And most of the questions that we ask when it comes to this space we're asking for permission to actually have what we want. Instead of granting ourselves permission to have what we want, we're waiting for something out there to give us that permission. Right? Yeah, it works. But I've only had this for like a week. I had a fidget spinner and I was like, you know what? This might be better. Let me go and get this. So I'm assuming it works for me, right? It's just something fun to play with. But this is what everything comes down to, is a choice. We can all sit around and make the choice that it's not working, or you can make the choice that right now you are in the life of your dreams. It's all a story. Telling a story that you need more information is just a story. That is a perspective that you decide to take on reality. That is you manifesting. You have decided to be someone who thinks it's not working. You have decided to be someone who's chasing information out there instead of deciding to be somebody who it's all working out for, right? And absolutely the universe is impersonal. It couldn't be any other way. It's an unconditional, loving universe, which makes it impersonal, right? Unattached to gender, unattached to race, to sexual orientation, to any of that. Simply waiting to unconditionally support you and giving you who you decide to be. Pure unconditional love, pure support in whatever you want. Okay? New subscribers. I appreciate you. I'm grateful to be on this journey with you. I am grateful to be on this journey with you. I'm glad you are here. Right? Glad you are here. Glad you are here. Hopefully, the subscription is worth it. I trust that it is. All right, but let's go. I don't have a document today. I don't have anything to read from, but I do want to just answer questions for about 30, 45 minutes. So if y'all have questions, let's talk about them. But the perspective that I started off with is the perspective that I'm going to take today. Is the perspective of you simply have a choice. You have a choice. When will you stop trying to manifest? When will you stop trying to think that it's not working and simply assume and know that everything is working out for you? When? Okay, I understand that the universe gives us what we think we deserve, but how does that work in terms of people suffering in wars? The same way. Okay, the same way. You have control over your reality, right? And most of us have not really, okay, y'all sit down when I say this, okay? Most of us have not truly experienced war in our life. Most of us haven't. Most of us haven't, right? We see things on TV. We read books. We turn on the news and we see things out there, but it's not actually happening in your reality. You have control over how your reality is, whether those things impact you or not, whether you still receive peace or achieve peace in your life or not. That is up to you. That's completely up to you. We don't know what is in anyone else's consciousness. We could have a perception of it. I could perceive that, if this person is going through that, then that must mean that God is this way. Or that person must believe that. We don't know that. We can only make a perception from the outside in. And oftentimes that perception is not even ours. Like, it's based on what everybody else tells us, right? Well, it goes to even personal fights, right? If you ever, been in a physical altercation with somebody, well, both sides could make the argument of who is right and who is wrong. That's why it happened in the first place. It's simply a matter of perspective. From the outside in, I can make my judgment on right and wrong as well. But I could also take a step back, even when it comes to world conflicts. I could take a step back and I can say, all right, well, let's look at the nature of humanity. Let me look at the nature of how things have advanced in my life. When have I morphed the most? Well, was it in times of peace or was it in times of conflict? Okay. So sometimes we'll have these moments in our life that will push us to grow. Other times, right, in life, the world, humanity as a whole will go through certain experiences as a collective. Somebody will come and polarize it, right? They'll say, okay, make a choice, pick a side. This is what I believe in, this is what I'm gonna do, pick a side. People pick sides. Conversations are had and humanity advances, right? Could we do that without contrast? Could we do that without contrast? If you truly believe that source, that God, the universe, contains all that there is, that everything exists, then what do you expect not to see? We're the ones that are judging things as right and wrong. We're the ones that are getting sucked into the drama and saying this is right, this is wrong. And we all do it, right? There's certain things that I see and I say, oh, well, to me that's wrong. But that's my judgment. That's my perspective of it, right? All that there is simply sees all that there is. And if all that there is 100% present within you, then all that there is knows that everything is within you. Every possible outcome is within you. And no matter what situation that you are in, you can make a choice to get to wherever you want. It's hard for us to get our human minds around that, right? Because we do tend to look at things from a perspective of polarity and duality, of right and wrong. But there's simply all that there is. Right and wrong is just a judgment that we take because we're walking through a linear time. That's it. Right? So even the concepts of right and wrong, they don't really make sense, right? We can debate them all day. Right and wrong typically comes down to, oh, damn, the market is tanking a little bit, ain't it? Right and wrong typically comes down to what? It comes down to where you're from, how you were born, what you had to endure. What you had to endure, right? If you endured certain things, you might think, you know what? This is cool. Got to get it how I live, right? If you were born or raised a different way, you might say, no, that's wrong. Which one is right? Which one is wrong? Okay. If somebody comes in, we might say, well, it's wrong to take a life. Well, if someone walks into your home and tries to take yours, it's a conversation I actually had with my mother the other day, because she was like, no, I don't believe that killing is wrong, or unaliving is wrong in any case. And I said, okay, well, what if somebody comes into your crib when we were young, when your kids were young, and then they try to take your life? Are you just going to let them take your life and then leave your children by themselves? Do you believe that is more right? It's all a matter of perspective. I'm not saying one way is better than the other, but you can make arguments for both. What is right and wrong comes down to your choice. It always comes down to our choice, to our perspective. Right? So right and wrong is a product of us biting of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is just biting into the tree of duality. The ability to judge. And so this is what life is, right? Life is simply all of us narrating life in our mind, making judgments of things that's right and wrong. Believing that we are the last moral authority of source, right? A lot of us do have that perspective. Now, is that right or wrong? It depends on your perspective, right? It all depends on your perspective. So if we believe that there's an impartial God and God is all that there is, then what do you expect not to see? All that there is all that there is. Okay? All that there is all that there is. Right? What do you do? What up, Ty? What do you do in the season of stillness and the unfolding? Take a trip to Vegas. Enjoy the stillness. Enjoy the unfolding. Most of our life, right, is going to be the unfolding, okay? We have a moment of desire, right? We have this desire and we go to the end in that moment. And then the rest of the journey is the unfolding. Can you or do you have the ability to enjoy every single part of the journey? Do you have the ability to enjoy the time that you spend with your mom right now? Do you have the ability to enjoy the silence of watching TV, reading a book, going for a walk, working out, making your planner up for next week of all your calendar invites? Or are you too busy labeling that when I see things, that means it's going well. When I don't see things, that means it's not going well. Can you enjoy life? Even when you have the money, you're not spending it 24/7. Even when you have that person, they can't be around you, dancing around in front of you and entertaining you 24/7. Right? You'll still have times by yourself. Are you truly present in those moments? Or are you always reaching for something else to happen? Understanding that you are already the miracle. You are already the unfolding that you seek. The more that you start to look at everything like a miracle, the more that miracles can actually unfold in your life, right? If you are walking through life and if you're walking through life and it just feels like a waiting game. You're making it a waiting game to the next best thing, right? Well, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually enjoy anything. This is why you can sometimes get on this manifestation journey, right? And whether it's for a person or for some money, you find that a month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year goes by, and all you've been doing is waiting for the next thing. All you've been doing is trying to manifest. And how have your personal relationships been? How is your relationship with yourself growing? What have you been doing with your life? Right? Have you become a worse person because of this journey? That was a question or a discussion that we had the other day, right? Is have you focused so much on getting this one thing, whether it's a specific person or whatever, you're so busy in monitoring your thoughts or this or that you can't even relax and allow life to actually be good. Mm-hmm. Persistence is choosing to be who you are regardless of circumstances, not waiting for them to move. The good brother Austin always dropping them gems, man. Reaching for something else means we will always be searching if that's what we show the mirror. That's absolutely, right? Absolutely. What is your perspective of calling it the unfolding versus already done? Is calling the unfolding coaxing the ego and perpetuating the loop of unfolding? Well, if you believe it is, yes. And I've had that specific discussion with a client that was like, I don't like saying that it's the unfolding because it feels like I'm waiting for something. It's not done. It's okay, perfect. That's fine. It's up to you, right? So if you believe that implies separation and distance, then don't. How I talk about the unfolding is I'll say, the moment I have the desire and I claim it, right, which happened at the exact same thing, the desire is the claiming of the desire. It's done. I am already that. Okay? The unfolding to me is reality is simply becoming me. I'm already it. Reality is just rearranging to become me, which in itself happens instantly. But then there's the revealing. So whether you want to call it the unfolding, which is just the revealing, or the revealing, or you want to go straight to the it's done, it's your choice. And why I say that is because I don't want, right? The dangerous thing in all of this is when we start believing that we have to say things and believe things just because somebody told us to believe that. But in our mind, it's implying separation. You got it? Because you make the rules. I can give you a template, which is my template. You can go to somebody else, they can give you their template. You can read a book, it can be their template, right? But you know what these things mean to you. You make the rules. You are God in this reality, right? So the things that make sense, take them. The things that don't, drop them. But if you feel that you are perpetuating the loop, right? The loop of unfolding by saying that it's not here and it's just unfolding, then don't say it. Then don't say it. Make the decision that works for you and stick with that. All right? Life is a good. Why would you want your specific people around? 100%. 100%. Right. It's not about convincing your 3D that you have. It's convincing your mind I already am that, right? And that was another conversation I had recently where someone said, no, when I see something in reality and I say that I am this, but reality's not showing me that, it feels like I'm lying. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's because you're trying to base your identity on reality. When you say who you are, you're just making a declaration of who you are. You're not making a declaration of what reality is because reality is you. You don't have to worry about what reality looks like. You're not saying things to convince reality or convince the 3D to change. You're remembering who you are. You're making a declaration of the truth of you, and reality follows you, right? So it's complete different, right? You're not You're not trying to convince reality to change anything. You're deciding who you are, and you're returning to that decision. And reality has no choice but to follow, right? So hopefully when I say it like that, you see how it makes no sense for you to scream affirmations into the mirror of reality. You know what I'm saying? You don't go to the mirror and scream for your reflection to change shirts. You change your shirt. You decide who you are. And then the mirror changes, right? So that's the process that we have to go through. Okay, you're not doing these things to convince reality. Reality doesn't need to be convinced. It's simply mirroring you. You're not praying to reality to change. The same way you're not begging Santa Claus in the sky to change things and give you what you want. You're not begging reality to change. You're making a decree, a declaration of who you are. So when you state these things, you're saying, no, this is who I decide to be. And then reality must follow. Okay? That's beautiful to hear. Your man finally reached out. That is so beautiful to hear. I love hearing that. I absolutely love hearing that. Love hearing that. Accepting all scenarios as possibility and remaining in your identity. It's a lot easier to know that just because I'm anxious doesn't mean I'm also not confident. It doesn't have to be 100%. I can be sad and hopeful, excited and tired. Exactly, right? And that there's another thing is that when we judge these emotions as right, wrong, good, or bad, we forget what the power behind those emotions is, right? There's only one energy in the universe, and it's God, it's source, it's all that there is, right? Whatever you want to call it, there's only one. Only one, okay? And so when this energy begins to go into motion through you, we call it an emotion. That's all it is. Energy in motion is emotion, okay? And so we have this ego, which isn't a real person, even though we do tend to sometimes speak about it with too much power. We begin to talk about the ego like it's this dark part of us that's keeping us from what we want, when really it's just a collection of thoughts that is there to keep you safe, right? It's just a reaction of sorts to an emotion or to a situation or to something that you see, right? So whenever this energy, God, flows through you, right, and the story that you're telling is actually what source wants to experience through you, you tend to feel better. When that energy flows through you and you're telling a story of what source doesn't want for you, you tend to feel bad. You tend to feel a certain type of way, right? And so the journey is not to eliminate those emotions. It's not to eliminate or just completely destroy anxiety or fear, because that leads us down a path of suppression. It's about simply putting your awareness on it, okay? When I put my awareness on anxiety or fear or doubt, well, now I can say, okay, what is this actually trying to tell me? What do I believe to be true in this moment? And then I can simply change the story right there. Does it mean I'll automatically feel better? Maybe, maybe not. But that is the healing. When you're aware of it, now you can actually make a choice on what you want to believe. When you're aware of it, you can make a choice. But when we're just spending all of our time fighting away emotions and thoughts, oh, I can't feel this because I can't get what I want. Well, you're the only one judging it as right and wrong. We're the ones that are in our own mind, right, narrating and saying, because I feel this, I'm not going to get what I want. When that's not true, it's just part of your human experience. You can observe it. You don't have to judge it as right or wrong, good or bad. You don't have to say it's anything. It's just flowing through you. Even thoughts, right? Battling your emotions and your thoughts all day is a full-time job in itself. It's beyond a full-time job. If you sit around and try to battle your thoughts and your emotions all day, you'll find that you might not have enough time to do anything else. You might find yourself just sitting there and eventually they're going to come put you in that straitjacket, man. That's a difficult road. Okay, the easier path, from my perspective, the easier path has always been what? To go to the truth of who I am. I am source. I give everything meaning. When I say that you are God of your reality, right? That you are source, you give meaning to everything. Everything exists. You get to walk through life and you're narrating everything. When you walk in and you say, oh, well, because I'm anxious, that means this. You're the one saying that. No one's forcing you. No one whispered that in your ear. It's just you. When you say, oh, bro, I'm sad, so I'm out of alignment. Nobody told you that. You could just as easily say, oh, I'm sad. It's just a feeling, but I'm still absolutely perfect. I am the perfection behind this emotion. This emotion is not me. I am the perfection behind this thought. This thought is not me. And I can still decide who I want to be, which you absolutely can. This is your divine right. Okay? It's your divine right. Is anybody in a short right now? I wonder where it's reaching to. I decided not to trade today, but I'm just watching the market. I'm pretty sure S&P can get down a lot lower. If we are who we say we are, then every emotion is perfect. Absolutely. Has no choice. Has no choice. Yeah, facts. We can be in alignment at any time. Just need to know who you are, right? For sure. Like, if you are source, if God animates you, if God is in every breath that you take, if God is closer to you than you are to yourself, if God animates every soul in your body, then how could you not be in alignment? How could you not be in alignment? Truly. Right? Even saying that you're out of alignment, it's just, you're just pretending to be something. Okay? Honestly, I felt down, then I felt hopeless again, even though I'm a firm believer in my new belief. Well, that means that you don't feel hopeless. You could feel down, you could feel the emotion, but you don't feel hopeless because you're still a firm believer in your new belief. Right? You're just feeling an emotion, which is fine. The emotion will pass. Right? You might have seasons of feeling good for no reason. You just have a good week where your emotions are on high for no reason. And then you have other times where your emotions are lower for no reason. Doesn't define you. You define you. Go through that. Just go through it. There's nothing to run from. There's nothing to hide from. You are source. Okay? Yeah, but I did get ghosted when I thought this is it. My desire was working. You're the only one that's saying that you got ghosted. You're declaring the middle like it's the end. Go to the end. Stay there. How can you get ghosted if you're already in the end? Go to the end and stay there. Either pick a new person or go to the end and stay there until it materializes. Don't base who you are on the external circumstances. If you base who you are on what you see out there, you'll stay in the loop. You have to decide who you are irrespective of what you see out there. What you see out there is secondary. You're the source. You're primary. It's not tiring to keep picking. To say I'm everything that I desire to be right now, it's not tiring at all. That's just a statement. It's a declaration. It's a statement of who you are. It's tiring to think that you have to focus all of your thoughts and all of your emotions on this thing. But that's making it conditional. To sit in the midst of whatever you're saying and say, no, I'm still everything I desire to be, is not tiring at all. It's very simple. We're the ones who are creating these blocks and these hurdles that we have to overcome to get to what we want. Simply be still and know. Be still and know. Be still and know. Not work harder and know, but be still and know. I see you, Cookie. I see you, Cookie. I see you, Cookie. All right? I just got some money in the mail I've been waiting on for months. Of course you did. Because you are God. How could you not get it? All right, so let me find that story. The habit of seeing only that which our senses permit renders us totally blind to why or to what we otherwise could see. Okay, so the habit of seeing only that, and this actually goes to a lot of the questions that we've had even today and other days, right? The habit of seeing only that which our senses permit, right? So basically, this is a Neville Goddard quote. So let's sum it up in a more, in an easier way to understand. If you're in the habit of only seeing what your senses tell you, right? You can only see what your eyes show you. You can only see what's outside of you. You can only hear what other people are telling you, okay? Then you will be totally blind to the other realities that you could actually see. You'll be totally blind to it. You won't be able to experience the fullness of if you're so caught up in defining yourself by what you see, by what the external reality tries to prove to you to be true. Well, then you're going to continue to experience the same thing that's in your external reality. So that's all that it means, right? When you stay focused on all those things outside of you, all those things outside of you simply persist. Manifested a friend and the timing was divine. Of course it was. But I started seeing wounds in them that I've healed. I'm wondering if I should distance myself. If you want to, sure. But what's stopping you from just deciding who they are and choosing to see them as perfect? Like in the middle of, and this is to a lot of people, right? In the middle of your doubt and anxiety or whatever y'all are seeing in people, what is preventing y'all from simply loving the version of them that you want? What is keeping you tied to the wounded part? What is keeping you tied to the pieces of people that you don't want, instead of simply accepting them, loving them the way that you... Why can't you give yourself permission to love someone the way that you want to love them? When are you going to give yourself permission to love someone the way that you want to love them, right? When you see these things and you're like, oh, I don't like these things, is that really is that really saying anything about that person? Or is that talking about you? Right? Interestingly, like lately, I don't know, I've had like an influx of people that have kind of been criticizing some of the things that I'm saying. Like, hey, look, you should talk about this differently. And I always acknowledge it, like, thanks. Or just give it a thumbs up or whatever. But is your issue with me my job to fix? Or is that just an issue with you? Is that just based on your perspective? I have no, like, how you consume the information is up to you. How you consume what the external reality is showing you is up to you. There's nothing to change but self. What is it that is keeping you from seeing this version of them as perfect? And actually allowing that to be a reality instead of focusing on the ghosting or focusing on the wounds or focusing on the past that you don't even want anymore. If you don't want it anymore, then why are you focused on it? Here we go. Some people need to focus on themselves, and that would attract the SP anyway. For sure. For sure. I didn't create the ghosting part. It happened, unfortunately. Who said it happened? Who says that it happened and that's the end of the story? Who says that? You're the only one saying that. We always have a choice, y'all. We always have a choice to look at people and decide how we want to experience them. We can focus on the shit we don't like, and more of that can show up, or we can focus on what we actually do like, right? If you love someone, then love them. Give yourself the permission to love them unconditionally the way that you want to love them. And watch when you love someone fully. Watch how the most beautiful part of them comes forward. But watch when you're tiptoeing around, oh, I can't love them because I'm nervous in my past. I've been ghosted and this and that, and I see these things in them that I don't like. Focus on that if you want. And watch what shows up in your reality. What you see in others that you don't like has nothing to do with them. It's you. Huh? They're an active player in that? No, they're not. There's only one player, and it's you. They're just reflections, fragments of you. They're just reflections and fragments of you. Right? Believing that they have power is dividing the power of God, and God cannot be divided. And so should you diminish them or let them? You can't diminish anyone. You can't diminish anyone. You get to choose what you want them to be, though. You get to choose if you want them to show up fully the way that you want them to, or you get to choose that this is how they are. When your manifestations come through, you should have the attitude of course, that was going to happen. What do you think? You can have the perspective of whatever. I've had certain things that have come through and I was like, oh my God. Right? I've had certain things that have come through that it felt normal, right? Like when I tell you about my mom and her cancer, right? I'm going to say this again. Right? Of course, she's cancer free now. We found out officially. Well, she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer a couple years ago. And at that time, like the doctors were saying, there was nothing that we can do, of course. But just recently, we found out that the tumor is gone, right? It's all gone. But when that happened, I think I had been persisting in that story for so long. By the time it did happen, I was like, oh, okay. I was happy to hear it, but I was happy that she was happy. It was crystallized within me. I already had the knowing, right? So I think I was more surprised. Like in the beginning, when I first heard it, I was, down for a little bit. Like, oh, I can't believe this. Why is this happening to me? Yada, yada, yada. But then I just say, you know what? I'm finna just start seeing my mom as perfect. Even when she was walking around complaining about shit, and I was just like, it's okay, Mom. You're absolutely perfect. Right? I love you perfect. I love you with the eyes of God. Right? I simply see God when I see you. And all of a sudden, the first couple of doctors were like, we can't do anything. And then things progressively, not like linearly got better. It was like, of course, it was all this journey to push us to where she needed to be. But it seemed like it was this rocky road, but it wasn't. It never was. So there were times where I was just like, oh shit. But I think when the big things happened, when cause she got on this experimental drug, right? So whenever that started to work, I was like, oh shit. She's not supposed to be here, but she is. And there were even questions of like, oh, well, what if she doesn't want to? And he said, well, if she doesn't want to, then that version of her wouldn't be in my reality. I choose. And so by me choosing that she was perfect and that she was healthy, well, of course, the version of her that wanted to be healed showed up, right? And so, end of story, right? It was about me choosing. So however you feel through it doesn't matter, right? You can feel happy. You can feel like nothing. You can not care. You can... No way that you feel about it makes a difference, right? Just a lot. I remember even in the beginning of my journey, believing things like, "Oh, bro, I'm getting too happy. I'm getting too excited for this. Let me calm myself down because I'm feeling too much about it." Right, and that in itself was a limitation, right? Why am I saying that I have to control my emotions to get something? Oh no, I'm feeling too sad. Let me just affirm through it. Why am I denying myself my own human experience, right? So it was just me choosing, is that the way that I want to live my life? Am I going to do that forever? Just sit around and try to control every thought and emotion? No, I can just simply choose to see people the way I want to see them and know that The small part of me might still see reality and get nervous or whatever, but the large part of me knows, right? My true self knows. I've already made the declaration of who I am. Okay. Appreciate you, Leslie. What if that person cheated on you one time and you're struggling to move past? Well, you have a choice to make, right? You have a choice to make. Do you want to focus on that version of them? Well, if you're so focused on that version of them, then maybe it is best that you walk away. But if you want the version of them that shows up fully, remember there's infinite within that vessel, that avatar. There's infinite versions of them. There's infinite versions of them that will continue to cheat. Infinite that will cheat more. Infinite. But there's also infinite that will treat you perfectly. Infinite that will show up. You get to choose. You get to choose. Okay? What I always, while we've had so many kind of specific people talks lately, is because it seems to be such a big thing that like people get into this space for those people, right? Here's the thing, y'all. Okay. When we ask questions like that, we're like, how do I love them when they're not showing up lovingly? Okay. When we make who we are conditional. Okay, hear me. Hear your big brother when I say this. When we make who we are conditional based on what we see out there, well, how do I show up? Right? How do I show up if they don't do this, if they don't do that, if the world looks like this, if the world looks like that? Well, they'll understand that the problem is right there in the question. If you base your identity on the external circumstances, you are going to continue to receive the same things. But when you decide who you are, okay, and I had this conversation with a client yesterday, right? And it finally clicked for her, right? When you decide, okay, when you stop deciding who you are just so you can get that person, and you decide just who you are unconditionally, this is who I am, this is how people treat me, this is how men show up, this is how women show up, this is how love greets me, this is who I am. When you stop deciding that I am this person to get them, and you just decide, no, I am this person. Now you make it unconditional. But when you're just waiting on them to show up, oh, I've been doing this for 4 days or 6 days, and then I look around and he's not there, so I'm wondering if I'm doing it right. You're not, because you say you are. You say you're like, the answer is right there. Of course you're not it, because you're waiting on something out there to prove to you that you're it. And if you were it, you wouldn't be waiting on something out there to prove that you're it. Do you get that? Do you get how that's contradicting? If I was it, I wouldn't be waiting for you to show me that I'm it. I just know that I'm it. So there's that moment of, that's that moment, right? I sit there and I decide, and then everything seems to be going well, going a little less well. You went a little less well, and then I get tired. It's been 8 days. I've been marking out the calendar. It's been 8 days, y'all. Nothing's changed. Okay, well, who are you going to be now? This is the test. Anybody can be happy when things look great. A child can do that. A toddler can do that. But who are you when things look opposite? Who are you then? If you're only it when things look a certain way, but you can't be it when you feel a certain way, when things don't look right, then you're not it. And y'all know this. I don't have to tell you this. You know this. So asking, what do you do when the thing doesn't look this way? Whatever you want. But who are you being? Who have you decided that you're going to be through it? You're just making a choice. Yeah, throw that little tantrum, right? But make a choice on who you are even when you're doing that. Because source is above your emotions anyway. You're just looking for your declaration of who you are. Knowing it's unfolding. Here we go, Shirley. Make the most of it. You're simply in the moment. You exist in the moment. You do whatever's best. Whatever you need to do right then, you do it knowing that you are still absolutely divine. Okay? But who are you? We have to circle back to the choice thing again, right? You get to make the choice that you are this person. You are the person that you say you are, right? You make that choice. Or you say, nah, I think I need a little bit more information. I think I need to know a little bit more about this. I think I need to do a little bit more techniques. I just don't know if I'm doing it right because the situation looks like this. You see, we could go forever with these excuses. Ego will always throw them out, right? That's a natural part of it. But you get to decide in the midst of that, no, I already chose. This is who I choose to be. But what if it doesn't look right? Who do you choose to be? What if they ghosted you? Who do you choose to be? How do you choose to see that story? Do you choose to see that as the end of the story? The manifestation didn't work. Of course it didn't, because you just said that. You just said it didn't, so it doesn't. Who are you choosing to be? Right? Remember, we talked about that Colossians verse, right? Nothing has, let me pull it up. Note it's first, not Colossians, 1 Corinthians 10:13. 1 Corinthians 10:13. Okay? Same answer, right? What if you make the choice but people remind you of the old you? Same answer. Who are you? But who do you say you are? I don't care what other people tell you. Who do you say you are? All right? When Jesus asked his disciples, right? Who am I? Well, some people out there say you're this. Some people out there say you're that. But who do you say I am? Doesn't matter what other people say. Who do you say you are? Okay? So 1 Corinthians 10:13 says what? No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. That's important. That is important, right? We tend to think that our situation is different. What if these people say this? What if it looks like this? What if they ghost me? I thought I was doing it right. What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Right? If we all combined our minds, we put our minds together. We just all touched foreheads. And we started writing out all of our complaints. We'll be here forever. Oh my goodness, we'll be here forever. All right? We can all think of some excuses. Okay? There's a scene we did a discussion. If you go to YouTube, you can search like the metaphysical meaning of the Matrix. We did a discussion on this where we talked about the different archetypes within that movie. One of the archetypes, of course, you have Neo, who represents the one, right? The Christ within you, waking up. Then you have the archetype of Agent Smith, which represents the shadow self for the ego. There's a scene in the third movie that I played in the beginning of the video, and Neo's getting his ass whooped. Agent Smith, representing the ego, reality, whatever you want to call it, right, is asking him all these questions while Neo's on the floor. He says, why are you even doing this? Why? And you can metaphysically, I want you to think about what this means. Like, why are you even doing this? You must know that you can't win. It's pointless. Why? Are you doing it for love? It's a fairy tale anyway, just something that humans make up, right? And if you notice, Agent Smith always called Neo what? He called him Mr. Anderson. He kept calling him his old name, trying to remind him of who he used to be. Neo representing the awakened self, Mr. Anderson representing him before he knew who he was. So he's continuously telling him, why, Mr. Anderson? Why? He just keeps calling him the old name. And that's the third movie. He keeps calling him the old man. You must know it's pointless. You don't even know what you're fighting for. Love? Humans don't know love. It's just a construct, just as fake as this matrix structure that you're in. So you're always going to have these, why? Well, what about this? What if they ghosted? What about this? What about that? What if the friends and family say this? What if I feel this way? What if nothing changes? What if reality looks this way? Why do you keep persisting, right? And Neo simply said, because I choose. Because I choose to. The only answer that matters. The only answer that matters is because you choose to. You don't have to justify the source. You're all that there is. Everything is yours by right of consciousness already. If we want to talk about it from a perspective of human worth, who's worthy of anything? Man, based on the human definition of worthiness, ain't nobody is worthy of anything. People can pretend they are and put on a highlight reel for you on social media. But when it comes to, from a human perspective, who is worthy of anything? Hold up now. From a human perspective, right? So it's all yours by right of consciousness. Who do you decide that you are? You can either tell the story if it doesn't matter, I am that I am no matter what. Or, well, I'm just going to go back to these old patterns. Keep telling this old story. Because people told me this. Situation looks like this, right? Basing my identity on the external reality always keeps me in a time loop. All right, y'all. But yes, that breakdown it's on the YouTube. You know all the videos on the YouTube. I don't take them down. They all up there. Okay. But all right, y'all, got to jump off. Let's see what the market doing. Is it still going down? Perhaps. It might be reversing, might just be consolidating, might be going lower, who knows? All right. But I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Right? We're all in this together. Remember, you have a choice. You can always choose. You get to choose. Is it working? Is it not working? Do I need more or is it done? Am I going to listen to what my family says, my friend says, or is it done? Am I going to judge the middle like it's the end or it's done? It's always up to you. You're so powerful. You're so powerful. Okay? So, love y'all. Y'all have a beautiful, beautiful day. We'll talk again this evening. And we talk again. I'll do Q&A again this evening. I'll do true Q&A. Maybe. Maybe this evening. All right? Peace. Later.